You're watching Channel 11 in Chicago.
Association of Manufacturers calls it a crisis. The shortage of workers who can read and compute. And that shortage has eclipsed capital formations as the #1 business priority. Irv Chapman reports from Washington.
Industrial parts and chemical manufacturer Fel Pro is on the latest list of best workplaces in America.
We're having a difficulty in finding enough workers to staff our manufacturing operations because there's a critical shortage of skilled workers in America.
Companies are spending increasing amounts of money on worker education as well as on helping local schools.
Increasingly, we are going to have to go abroad, either in terms of opening up our immigration or searching for labor. There's no better way at all to improve the lot of the American worker than to improve his education and skills.
The NAM is backing more tax incentives for education and training, school choice, and national standards.
We're all trying to clean up a mess that we shouldn't have made to start with, right? If there's one thing that our company learned about quality, and one thing that manufacturing has learned about quality, you do it right the first time.
Excellence requires standards, and standards requires some kind of assessment or test. And until we can reckon with that reality, I think we're not going to move forward in education reform.
So the NAM winds up backing the Clinton administration's proposal for national standards and tests, and Republican leaders who want to finance children to move to private schools, and is exasperated that the teachers' unions have found enough political bedfellows to stymie both proposals. This is Irv Chapman, Bloomberg Television in Washington.
The NAM also wants the government to consolidate more than 160 training programs spread out over several departments and agencies.
Among the stocks to watch today, Federal Mogul. The car parts maker, which is still completing its $2.9 billion acquisition of Britain's T&N PLC, may soon announce a deal to buy closely held Fel Pro for $720 million in cash and stock. The Wall Street Journal says the combination of the three companies will result in annual sales of $1 billion.
Federal Mogul is looking to buy Fel Pro for $720 million in cash and stock. The Wall Street Journal reports that an announcement is expected today. Federal Mogul is an auto parts maker that is still completing its $2.9 billion acquisition of Britain's T&N PLC. Fel Pro is one of the oldest names in gaskets and other automotive sealing products. The deal would give Federal Mogul annual sales of $5.5 billion. The combined company will be a single source for engine sealing systems. That capability is increasingly important as the auto parts industry consolidates. Federal Mogul is looking to buy Fel Pro for $720 million in cash and stock. The Wall Street Journal reports that an announcement is expected today. Federal Mogul is an auto parts maker that is still completing its $2.9 billion acquisition of Britain's T&N PLC. Fel Pro is one of the oldest names in gaskets and other automotive sealing products. The deal would give Federal Mogul annual sales of $5.5 billion. The combined company will be a single source for engine sealing systems. That capability is increasingly important as the auto parts industry consolidates.
front here in the U.S., Federal Mogul, which makes precision components for cars and trucks, says it will acquire privately held Fel Pro for $720 million. The company says it will pay $225 million in stock, about $500 million in cash, and take a $15 to $20 million charge.
And then we just mentioned Federal Mogul. I said cash and debt. Actually, it's stock and cash valued at $720 million. And this is a gasket maker. Gaskets are little things that go between metal, right? Like made out of something besides metal and keep things from leaking, I think.
Is that what they are?
Right, Mark?
Yeah.
Basically what they are. They look like, you know, cookie cutter type things. And
your engine can be in a lot of trouble if certain gaskets give out.
If you didn't have gaskets, Mark, basically you couldn't have an engine, right? I mean, things would be leaking all the time.
Right. The oil would mix with the antifreeze and...
Wow.
So you really can't...
Mark's tie is alive.
Yeah, woo! You really can't minimize the impact of gaskets have on everyday life, so don't discount this.
Very important.
Gaskets are very important.
The world rests on gaskets.
He said it.
You did, and he was correct.
In corporate news, Federal Mogul has agreed to buy privately owned Fel Pro for $720 million in stock and cash. As a result of the deal, Federal Mogul will take a $15 to $20 million pre-tax restructuring charge. Fel Pro makes gaskets. Federal Mogul makes parts for cars, trucks, and farm vehicles. The stock right now is trading better by 3/16 at 40 even.
Privately owned gasket maker Fel Pro being purchased by Federal Mogul in a cash and stock deal valued at $720 million. Federal Mogul makes auto parts and parts for farm vehicles.
On the corporate front today, Federal Mogul has agreed to buy privately owned Fel Pro for some $720 million in stock and cash. As a result of the deal, Federal Mogul will take a $15 to $20 million pre-tax restructuring charge. Fel Pro makes gaskets. Federal Mogul makes parts for cars, trucks, and farm vehicles.
Well, Federal Mogul has agreed to buy privately owned Fel Pro for $720 million in stock and cash. As a result of the deal, Federal Mogul will take a $15 to $20 million pre-tax restructuring charge. Fel Pro makes gaskets. Federal Mogul makes parts for cars, trucks, and farm vehicles. And its stock right now is trading up 1 5/8 at 41 7/16.
Federal Mogul has agreed to buy privately owned gasket maker Fel Pro for $720 million in stock and cash. And as a result, Federal Mogul will take a $15 to $20 million pre-tax restructuring charge. The company builds parts for cars, trucks, and farm vehicles.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Street Signs. I'm Ron Insana. We'll have all those stories in a moment, but first, let's see what's happening on Wall Street.
Rapid consolidation in the auto parts manufacturing business continued today with Federal Mogul announcing it will spend $720 million in cash and stock to buy privately held Fel Pro. Federal Mogul Chairman Dick Snell says the acquisition's impact on earnings this year will be either neutral or mildly dilutive, but that next year the acquisition of Fel Pro should add 20 cents a share to earnings. Federal Mogul is to buy privately held Fel Pro for $720 million in cash and stock. It'll take a $15 to $20 million pre-tax restructuring charge as a result. Fel Pro is an automotive gasket maker. Federal Mogul makes automotive bearings, oil seals, and fuel systems. It said some jobs could be lost as a result. The stock today up 2 7/16, 42 1/4.
Live from CNBC, this is The Edge with Sue Herrera.
Auto parts maker Federal Mogul says it's buying gasket maker Fel Pro for $720 million in cash and stock. As a result of the merger, Federal Mogul will take an estimated $15 to $20 million pre-tax restructuring charge, and it may have to eliminate some jobs. Federal Mogul gained 2 7/16 at 42 1/4.
And now, Business Center with Maria Bartiromo and Tyler Matheson. Shares of Federal Mogul added 2 7/16 today to 42 1/4. The auto parts maker is buying privately held Fel Pro for $720 million.
This is CNN.
Live from CNN Center in Atlanta, this is Moneyline with Lou Dobbs.
Tonight's Moneyline movers led by auto parts maker Federal Mogul up nearly $2.50 a share, buying privately held Fel Pro for almost $750 million in cash and stock.
A look at tonight's Fox stocks. There has been a merger in the auto parts industry. Federal Mogul will pay $720 million in cash and stock for privately held gasket maker Fel Pro. Federal Mogul will take a $15 million charge to cover severance and outplacement costs. Federal Mogul shares lower by about 2.5 today.
Hello from O'Hare Airport. I'm Jamie, and you're watching Channel 11.
And auto parts giant Federal Mogul is buying privately held gasket maker Fel Pro in a $720 million cash and stock transaction. The proposed deal works out to $495 million in cash, $225 million in stock. The purchase may mean layoffs at both companies and a $15 to $20 million charge by Federal Mogul to cover costs. The Fel Pro acquisition is the company's second major purchase since announcing a plan to focus on its core engine and sealing systems businesses last year. Federal Mogul shares were up 2 7/16 at 42 1/4.
Among the stocks to watch today, Federal Mogul, the auto parts maker, which is still completing its $2.9 billion acquisition of Britain's TNN PLC, may soon announce a deal to buy closely held Fel Pro for $720 million in cash and stock. The Wall Street Journal says the combination of the three companies will result in annual sales of $1 billion.
This is Chicago's very own WGN News at noon.
Consumer news, Fel Pro Incorporated based in Skokie has been acquired by Federal Mogul for $720 million. Fel Pro makes gaskets for automobiles and has been recognized as one of the best employers in the country by providing workers with daycare, health club facilities, and college scholarships for children. The new owners say they'll continue those benefits and add some of their own.
Federal Mogul ain't bad, okay? And in fact, in many ways, when we compared the full employee benefit structure, in several major ways, Federal Mogul was better in terms of the absolute program than what Fel Pro had.
Snell warned there will be some cost cutting within the company worldwide, but he added most of the layoffs would come later in the year.
This is Chicago's very own WGN News at 9.
They have been a corporate darling for years, sought after by many larger companies. Over and over again, the family-owned Fel Pro Corporation refused to sell.
And now the owners finally have decided to hand over the reins, but not without protecting the long-standing employee relationship they worked so hard to build. More on this story now from WGN's Robert Jordan.
Who's a senior at Northwestern.
The two chairmen and the new president were all smiles. The Skokie-based manufacturer was acquired for $720 million. They make the best-selling gaskets at Fel Pro because the employees like what they do and who they work for. It's been voted one of the top 5 places to work in the U.S. The company cafeteria, plaques, trophies, and awards fill the walls, recognition for years of innovative programs. But now the 80-year-old family-owned company is adjusting to changing times.
There's tremendous consolidation.
There is need for globalization. There's need for selling more than a single product line. And so this became really a compelling reason for us to consider selling the business.
It's a business that values its employees. Fel Pro started a daycare center for its workers years before it was the socially responsible thing to do. They began split shifts and flex time to help workers adjust their schedules. There is a wellness program that includes free health club facilities where employees can go to work out on their lunch hour or before or after work. And the company offers a college scholarship program for the children of employees. And take this factory, for example. It's not a hot, sweltering pit. It's a clean, air-conditioned facility. So the corporate philosophy at Fel Pro has always been to ensure employee comfort, while at the same time maximizing productivity.
It's beyond satisfaction with them, which results in better recruiting, their ability to get very high-quality people and retain them in a happy state and a productive state for some period of time, while making a very good return for their share owners.
But the Fel Pro owners wouldn't sell until they found a buyer who agreed to continue the employee programs.
Maintain our Fel Pro benefits and was sympathetic to and harmonious with our philosophy of doing business and our approach to toward dealing with our people and our employees.
The Fel Pro acquisition makes Federal Mogul a $5 billion company. Robert Jordan, WGN News.
Fel Pro has 1,800 employees working at its Chicago facility. There are 3,000 employees worldwide.
CNN FM, the financial network.
U.S. stocks in London are indicated sharply lower, some worth watching today. Federal Mogul reportedly plans to announce later plans to buy Fel Pro. And American Banknote could be a mover after it said Friday would absorb some refinancing charges in its fourth quarter results.
All right, a possible deal in the auto parts business to report for you today. Federal Mogul Corporation expected to announce that it's buying Fel Pro Incorporated. The Wall Street Journal says Federal Mogul will pay about $720 million in cash and stock for Fel Pro. Fel Pro is one of the oldest names in gaskets and other automotive sealing products. Now you know.
Well, Federal Mogul Corporation is raising its stake in the quickly consolidating auto parts market. It's announcing plans to buy Fel Pro Inc. for $720 million. You'll recall Federal Mogul recently committed $2.9 billion to purchase TNN, a British parts producer. Completion of both deals would make Federal Mogul an auto parts powerhouse with roughly $5.5 billion in annual sales.
We have 18 Dow stocks open so far out of the total of 30, of course, and so far every single one of those 18 that is open is down. This has been confirmed. Federal Mogul Corporation is going to buy Fel Pro for $720 million. Fel Pro is one of the oldest names in gaskets and auto sealing products. Federal Mogul recently offered $2.9 billion to purchase T&N, that's a British parts producer. When these two deals go through, it'll make Federal Mogul an auto parts kingpin with annual sales of about $5.5 billion. And that stock, by the way, Federal Mogul, not open for business.
Well, let's first tell you this. Car and truck parts maker Federal Mogul on the move again. The company buying Fel Pro for $720 million in cash and stock. Fel Pro makes gaskets and other engine sealing products. The takeover follows Federal Mogul's mega deal last year. It agreed in September to buy British car parts maker TNN for nearly $3 billion. Federal Mogul executives say they expect to slash between 1,000 and 2,000 jobs once the two deals are completed.
continuing its auto parts buying spree, agreeing to buy Fel Pro Inc. for $720 million. Fel Pro is one of the best-known producers of gaskets and auto sealing products. The Federal Mogul recently offered $2.9 billion to take over the British parts producer T&N. And if both deals succeed, Federal Mogul could post annual sales of about $5.5 billion. Checking Federal Mogul sales, the shares are up 1 9/16 at 41 3/8.
And two auto parts makers are linking up. Federal Mogul announcing today it will buy Fel Pro for $720 million in cash and stock. Federal Mogul recently committed $2.9 billion to purchase T&N, a British parts producer. Completion of both deals would make Federal Mogul an auto parts powerhouse with roughly $5.5 billion in expected annual sales. Right now, shares of Federal Mogul are up 1 5/8 at 41 1/2.
It's Monday, normally a heavy day for deals. More consolidation today in the auto parts market. Federal Mogul shelling out $720 million for a privately held Fel Pro, the deal making the second one for Federal Mogul in just a few months. Last October, Federal Mogul announced plans to buy British parts maker T&N for $2.9 billion. Both deals giving Federal Mogul a huge share of the overall market with about $5.5 billion in expected annual sales. You see Federal Mogul stock is up nearly $2. Remember, in a volatile market today, trading at 41 3/4.
On to some of today's deal-making. Auto parts maker Federal Mogul back on the acquisition trail. Federal Mogul has agreed to buy Fel Pro, another auto parts maker, for cash and stock valued at $750 million. In September, Federal Mogul bought British auto parts maker T&N for nearly $3 billion. Shares of Federal Mogul today up 2 7/16. Fel Pro is privately held.